Before there was Jamestown and Plymouth Rock, there was Roanoke, a mysterious outpost that vanished without a trace, leaving behind only one word and a whole lot of questions. Welcome to my channel, and today let's find out how and why the first English colony in North America disappeared. The year is 1587. For decades, the English had been hearing about a land across the sea filled with riches beyond imagination. Stories of gold, silver, and precious gems had been told for years. And now England wants in on the action. So Queen Elizabeth I gives two explorers, Sir Walter Raleigh and Sir Francis Drake, permission to explore and settle parts of North America. Drake heads north to present-day Canada and claims the area for England, but the further south he goes, the more he realizes the area is less rich than the stories have claimed. He leaves the rest of the exploration to Raleigh, who establishes the first English settlement on Roanoke Island in present-day North Carolina. But Raleigh isn't there to run the settlement himself. He's got bigger fish to fry, like trying not to get beheaded. See, when Raleigh was given permission to explore, he wasn't exactly honest about where he was going. He told the Queen he was exploring the coast of mainland North America, but really he had plans to settle on an island. Not only did this make it easier to monitor the colony, but he didn't need permission from the Spanish to do it. If the English crown wanted to build a settlement on the mainland, they'd need permission from the Spanish, who controlled much of the land claimed by England. But no one asked anyone else if they could set up shop on an island. Raleigh's plan was to keep the settlement on Roanoke Island, while he went back to England to convince other nobles to invest in the colony. And nobles, including Raleigh's brother, began investing money and resources into the colony. But in order for the colony to succeed, they needed someone to oversee it while Raleigh was gone. So he chose John White. John White had some experience leading colonies. In 1556, he helped establish a failed English colony on the island of Newfoundland. But White was also an artist and illustrator, and most wanted to use his talents to record the flora and fauna of the New World. Upon arriving on Roanoke, White wasted no time beginning to explore the area. He ventured inland and along the coast, recording local plants and animals in drawings and writing. While White explored, his crew unloaded supplies and began constructing homes for the 115 men, women and children on the colony. White found the local natives friendly and helpful. They showed the colonists where to find food and how to cultivate the land. The native tribes were also interested in trading with the colonists and brought many valuable items to trade, including pearls, beads made from crushed shells, and copper. White and the other colonists recorded that the natives were Christian and civilized, which was good news for attracting future settlers. After all, no one wanted to settle among heathens. Life on Roanoke was hard though. Building materials were in short supply, and homes weren't adequate protection from the elements. Supplies also started to dwindle. There was a fire in one of the storage buildings, and much of their food was destroyed. The colonists became desperate for supplies, and White knew he needed to sail back to England to get more food and supplies. With winter approaching, he left the colony in the hands of Governor John Alec and set sail for home. When White arrived in England, he tried to convince the nobles who had invested in the colony to send more supplies. But there was a problem. England and Spain were at war, and the English ports were blockaded by the Spanish Navy. Supplies couldn't reach the colony, nor could White return to the colony. So White did the only thing he could do. He waited. 3 years passed. White watched as ship after ship set sail for North America, only to be turned around by the Spanish Navy. But finally, peace was declared between England and Spain, and White was able to secure passage back to North America. He reached the coast of North Carolina in August of 1590, expecting to find a thriving settlement. Instead, he found an abandoned fort and the word CROATOAN carved into a post. For months, White searched the area for any sign of the colony, but he never found the colonists or any sign of what happened to them. He did find evidence that the colonists had struggled. There were skeletons in the fort and one in the nearby woods with an arrow through his skull. There were also signs that the fort had recently been occupied, but he didn't find any bodies that were clearly newer, nor did he find any living people. So where were they? Some believe the colonists ran away and joined a nearby CROATOAN tribe, so named by the English because the Native American name was too hard to pronounce. The theory is that the CROATOAN people lived on Hatteras Island. When the colonists arrived, they likely befriended the natives, then decided to join them instead of continuing to struggle on Roanoke. This is backed up by the fact that the word CROATOAN was carved into the post when White returned to the island. One letter of the word was missing, making the word unreadable unless you knew what the missing letter was. This has led many to believe that the colonists either joined the CROATOAN tribe or another tribe with a similar name, the CROATOAN. Others believed that White simply didn't find the bodies because they were already gone. Some researchers theorized that the colonists were wiped out by disease or starvation. Starvation seems unlikely. The area around Roanoke is rich with food, both on land and in the sea, and the colonists were taught by the natives how to forage for food in the area. But disease is a very real possibility. During the Mayflower's journey to New England, many passengers came down with smallpox, which killed many. It's possible something similar happened on Roanoke, although it would be unusual for everyone to die at the same time. Still, others theorized that the colonists didn't die on Roanoke, but were killed elsewhere. Remember that skeleton with the arrow through his skull? Or some theorized that the arrow was evidence that the colony was attacked and everybody killed. Who might have done the killing? Nobody knows. The colonists kept detailed journals, but they never recorded an attack or even a skirmish with another group. Plus, there were no signs of struggle in the fort. But this doesn't mean the colony was totally peaceful. The English had weapons, but the Native Americans had bows and arrows, so it's possible a small band of natives could have attacked the English and taken some of them captive. This could explain why there are some skeletons on the island, and why there were no recent burials when White returned. And what happened to the rest of them, no one knows. Some believe they were taken captive, while others believe they simply wandered off and became lost to the wilderness. There is yet another theory. Some researchers believe that the colonists didn't die on land, but at sea. When supplies failed to arrive, the colonists may have elected to try and sail to a different colony in North America. But sailing was dangerous. Storms could easily capsize or sink a ship, especially if it was crowded with people. And many ships in the 16th century were overcrowded. In the early days of the English Navy, sailors and soldiers would often be crammed onto ships designed to carry far fewer people. This made conditions on board terrible, but it was necessary since the Navy was often short-staffed. Plus, they were at war. So it was important to have as many men as possible on board each ship. It's entirely possible that the colonists decided that it was better to risk a storm than to starve. And it would explain why there were no bodies found on shore. If they'd sailed into the ocean, there would be no way to know what happened to them. What makes the mystery of Roanoke even stranger is that we don't know if everyone died. On the island, Governor Ackcliffe had planned to sail to England once supplies arrived. He and his wife were expecting a baby when White left, so he likely would have stayed on the island with her and not taken a boat to England. But what about the rest of them? Did everyone leave on a boat together, or were they left behind? We simply don't know. One thing is certain though. When John White returned to Roanoke, he was the only Englishman to see the lost colony. Since then, the island has seen its share of visitors, but nobody has ever found evidence of the lost colony, nor has anyone ever found the lost colony itself. But you don't have to look far to find theories. Some believe the colonists moved to a place called the Lost Colony, a tract of land near the original settlement that has never been explored. Others believe they simply blended in with the native population and can be found by following their bloodline. Still, others believe that the island itself has moved. Some researchers believe that the island where the colony was established was carried away by a storm, explaining why no one has been able to find it. Whatever happened to the lost colony of Roanoke, it is a pivotal moment in history. It was the first English attempt at a settlement in North America, and its failure paved the way for future attempts that would become Jamestown and Plymouth Rock. What do you think happened to the lost colony of Roanoke? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're there, make sure to subscribe for more videos like this one. Be sure to check out these other videos, all about ancient mystery. And as always, thanks for watching.